Have you ever questioned why so many seemingly successful people end up struggling in retirement despite saving money for decades? The finance world has been giving you partial truths about managing your money after the age of 60. Today, I'm going to show you why following the usual savings advice could be the biggest risk to your retirement stability. Consider this: we've all been told to save our entire working lives. But what if I told you that after 60, putting money obsessively into savings accounts might actually be a terrible strategy for keeping hold of your wealth? This idea, which goes against common sense, has changed the retirement outcomes for thousands of my clients. Yet it remains one of the best-kept secrets in the financial world. Has this happened to you? You sit with a financial planner who insists you keep contributing the maximum, stay aggressive with your investments, and chase bigger returns, even as your working years are quickly drawing to a close. There's a basic mathematical reality that these planners rarely admit. Time is no longer on your side after 60. When you're in your 30 seconds or 40 seconds, recovering from a financial hit is painful but definitely possible. After 60, a big drop in the market doesn't just mean cutting back for a couple of years. It could permanently damage the quality of your entire retirement. This isn't about being gloomy. It's about understanding the new rules of the game when you have more financial history behind you than ahead. But before we start, please press the like button and let me know in the comments where you are watching from today. It's always fascinating to see who is joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Stay with me until the end, because I'm going to share a completely different method for handling money after 60, one that prioritizes financial protection over aggressive pursuit of gains. The retirement world is full of the ruined hopes of people who followed mainstream advice right off a financial cliff. What you'll learn today could be the difference between spending your golden years in peace and comfort or constant worry. The financial industry doesn't want you to know this, but after 60, your whole approach needs to switch from building up wealth toward preserving it and planning strategically. I've seen too many retirees ruined by a single market drop at the wrong time or by having investments that were too risky, with no time left to rebuild what took decades to create. What if there was a way to practically bulletproof your retirement from market swings while still giving you the income you need? A strategy that views your wealth not as a score to be maximized at any cost, but as a valuable resource to be safeguarded and used wisely. As we look into this groundbreaking approach to post-60 finances, you'll see why the old rules no longer work, and how a complete change in your mindset about money might be the most valuable retirement gift you could give yourself. What we're seeing in today's financial world is a major shift in mindset that few planners dare to discuss. As younger investors, we're taught to fear missing out, the well-known FOMO that leads to so many rash investment choices. We jump into popular investments at their highest, chase quick-gaining stocks based on social media tips, or take on too much debt and housing bubbles, all because we're afraid of watching others get rich while we do nothing. But the real truth comes out after 60. The genuine danger isn't missing out on opportunities. It's what I call FOBO, or the fear of blowing out. This psychological change is key because your financial journey is now entering a fundamentally different stage. The wealth you've worked so hard to accumulate for decades can be wiped out by one bad decision at the wrong time, with practically no chance left for recovery. This realization completely changes how you make decisions, naturally pushing you toward more careful choices that protect what you've built rather than gambling it. Think about the effect of this shift. When you accept FOBO, you stop chasing the latest investment craze or feeling anxious about market booms you weren't part of. Instead, you gain a remarkable clarity about what truly matters: stability, dependability, and keeping your capital safe. It's about evaluating every financial move by asking, what's the worst thing that could happen? Instead of how much could I gain? Now I want to explore this non-traditional wisdom even more by sharing something that might sound strange at first. After 60, boring becomes wonderful. We live in a society obsessed with disruption, innovation, and excitement, qualities that create great headlines but often result in disastrous retirement portfolios. The financial news constantly shows us stories of overnight successes, making traditional investments seem old-fashioned and unexciting in comparison. But here is the contradiction that transforms retirement outcomes. The less thrilling your investment approach is after 60%, the more thrilling your actual retirement will be. Those simple dividend stocks, local bonds, income contracts, and properties that generate rent lack the thrill of risky investments, but they provide something far more valuable: the ability to sleep soundly at night knowing your financial foundation is safe. I've watched this journey countless times with clients who initially resist this simple approach. They come into my office convinced they need risky growth strategies to make up for what they think they lack. The real breakthrough happens when they realize that financial excitement in your 60s, 70s, and beyond shouldn't come from watching investments swing wildly. It should come from having the freedom and security to genuinely enjoy life without financial worry. The change isn't only about money, it's profoundly psychological. There is immense relief that comes with freeing yourself from the constant pressure to outdo the market, to find the next big opportunity. This shift toward choosing stability over risk is one of the most liberating decisions you can make about your financial future. If you found value in these financial insights for your golden years, hit that subscribe button too. Join our community of thoughtful investors who put financial security ahead of quick, flashy returns. If you felt this change in your own thinking, from chasing returns to protecting what you have, write defense mode activated in the comments below. The path toward financial wisdom often begins with realizing that the game has fundamentally changed. This wisdom leads us to a crucial finding about how financial disasters happen. If you look at the destruction of most ruined retirement portfolios, you'll find they almost always contain the same three poisonous components: borrowing money to invest, leverage, being too complicated, and taking speculative positions. These elements create a perfect storm that can destroy decades of careful wealth building in surprisingly short periods. Leverage, using borrowed money to try and multiply investment returns, might seem appealing, especially if you feel behind on your retirement goals. The hidden truth is that while debt can indeed boost your gains when things go well, it brutally increases your losses when markets turn sour. This multiplying effect creates a weakness that becomes increasingly dangerous as you get older. A market dip that might be manageable for an investment portfolio without debt can become a catastrophic event when debt is involved. Likewise, complexity in financial products often hides risk instead of improving returns. I've seen countless instances where retirees were sold complex annuities or exotic investment plans that neither they nor sometimes even their planners fully understood. This lack of clarity creates a dangerous gap in knowledge where you can't properly judge the risk until it's too late. The revelation here is simple. If you can't explain an investment to a reasonably smart teenager, it probably shouldn't be in your portfolio after 60. Now I want to go even deeper into the psychological side of protecting wealth by looking at what financial expert Charlie Munger brilliantly called the dumbest of the 7 deadly sins: envy. This observation reveals something fascinating about human nature and how it affects financial decisions, especially after 60. Think about this contradiction. Most of the traditional sins provide some form of immediate reward or enjoyment. Greed gives you fleeting satisfaction. Overeating offers temporary pleasure, but envy delivers nothing but pain. Yet this emotionally empty sin destroys more retirement portfolios than almost any other psychological factor. The path toward financial wisdom requires you to recognize how the comparison game silently ruins sound decision-making. You've spent decades building a strategy suited to your goals, risk tolerance, and timeline. Then it happens. Your neighbor mentions their quick money success, your brother-in-law boasts about a stock that tripled, or your friend hints at the huge gains they're making in some new investment trend. Suddenly, your carefully constructed, appropriately conservative approach feels insufficient, even foolish. This harmful comparison becomes especially dangerous after 60, when the time available for recovery from mistakes has shrunk dramatically. I've seen this play out countless times, decades of disciplined investing, abandoned in moments of weakness for risky bets that often end in regret. What makes this particularly sad is that your neighbor's financial journey has absolutely no bearing on your ability to reach your own retirement goals. The turning point happens when you realize financial independence isn't a competition. It's not about beating others or having the most impressive returns at the retirement community dinner. It's about having enough money to support the life you want to live with the security to withstand inevitable market problems. If you felt that slight pinch of financial envy when hearing about someone else's investment success, type comparison trap in the comments. Admitting this common human tendency is often the first step toward freeing yourself from its destructive influence. This mental freedom from comparison isn't just good for your finances. It represents one of the most profound changes on your journey toward genuine peace of mind. When you stop seeing retirement as a race against others and start seeing it as your own unique path, something remarkable occurs. The worry about market movements begins to disappear. The constant need to check your portfolio balances lessens. You develop what I call financial sovereignty, the ability to make decisions based entirely on your personal situation rather than external pressure. This resetting of your financial compass allows you to navigate with clarity even when others around you seem to be chasing every new investment trend. The journey toward this mindset isn't always easy, especially in a culture obsessed with comparison. Social media, financial news, and even casual conversations with friends can quickly drag you back into the toxic comparison trap. The breakthrough comes when you realize that financial decisions made out of envy almost always lead to regret, particularly after 60, when the stakes are highest and the recovery time is shortest. Now, I want to go even deeper into another piece of unconventional wisdom that seems shockingly simple, yet proves extraordinarily powerful for preserving wealth after 60. One of Charlie Munger's biggest regrets, a revelation that might surprise you, was selling great businesses too soon. This insight gives us a look into a philosophy that runs directly against the hyperactive trading mentality pushed by much of the financial industry. When you find a truly exceptional business with lasting advantages, strong leaders, and a history of rewarding shareholders, the winning strategy is often amazingly simple. Just hold it. Don't overthink it. Don't try to guess when to buy or sell. Don't worry about short-term ups and downs. Just hold. The psychology behind this wisdom shows a fascinating contradiction of human nature. We tend to do exactly the opposite of what is best for our financial interests, selling winners too early to guarantee gains while stubbornly holding on to losers, hoping they'll recover. This behavior is so common it might as well be programmed into us. Yet it becomes increasingly costly as we age and our investment time frame shortens. I've seen this transformation in countless clients who finally adopt the whole great businesses mindset in their 60s and beyond. There's a remarkable freedom that comes from releasing yourself from the exhausting cycle of buying and selling, timing, and second-guessing. The hidden truth is that quality businesses with strong dividends, solid financial health, and long-lasting competitive advantages often provide exactly what you need in retirement: growing income streams and relative stability without the worry of constantly rearranging your portfolio. This philosophy connects to a deeper wisdom about patience and simplicity. The financial industry makes money from complexity and activity. The more you trade, the more fees they earn. But your best interests are often served by finding quality investments and letting them work for you over time. The effect of this realization can be transformative, replacing anxious activity with confident calm. If you've ever felt regret after selling a quality investment that continued to perform well, type diamond hands in the comments. Sometimes the most powerful financial strategy is simply having the patience to let great businesses do what they do best: compound value over time. This pattern of holding great businesses leads us to another piece of non-traditional truth learned through decades of watching the market. There is a fascinating situation I call the confidence paradox. The louder and more sure someone is about their market predictions, the more likely they are to be completely wrong. This finding challenges the very way most people consume financial information after 60. Think about the commentators and experts you see on financial channels or read in investment emails. The ones who speak with absolute certainty about where interest rates will be next year, exactly which industries will do best or which currencies will strengthen. The hidden truth is that throughout market history, those who sounded most certain were consistently the ones who lost the most money, both for themselves and their followers. Ready to completely change your view of wealth after 60? Subscribe now and get access to more non-traditional wisdom that goes against mainstream financial advice, but could protect everything you've worked for. This insight becomes increasingly valuable after 60, when the results of following misguided certainty can be devastating to your financial security. The change in perspective happens when you realize that true expertise isn't marked by loud, dramatic predictions, but by a careful understanding of probabilities and possibilities. True investment wisdom often sounds hesitant, measured, and qualified, exactly the opposite of what gets attention in financial media. I've witnessed remarkable journeys of clients who finally broke free from the spell of those who promise certainty. They discovered that the financial world is simply too complex, too interconnected, and too unpredictable for any single person to fully understand, no matter how confidently they present their forecasts. This realization creates a natural skepticism toward absolute claims that acts as a powerful shield for your hard-earned wealth. This intellectual honesty connects directly to another profound change that becomes increasingly important after 60, the shift from employee thinking to owner thinking. Most people, even highly educated, successful professionals, spend their entire careers stuck in the employee mindset. They focus on getting promoted, having impressive job titles, corner offices, and perks. They measure success by salary increases and status symbols. There's nothing inherently wrong with career success, but behind the scenes lies a harsh truth that few admit: titles don't compound. Ownership does. This revelation highlights the fundamental difference between these two approaches to wealth. Employees focus on looking important and climbing the hierarchy. Owners focus on possessing things that generate cash while they sleep. An employee asks, "How do I please my boss?" An owner asks, "Does this asset make money in the long term?" The move from one mindset to the other represents one of the most powerful transformations possible in your financial life. I've seen this breakthrough moment for countless professionals, doctors, lawyers, executives, who suddenly realize they've been playing the wrong game. Despite decades of high incomes, many find themselves with impressive job titles but minimal assets that work without their time and effort. They've been running on an increasingly sophisticated treadmill, but a treadmill nonetheless. The awakening often comes with a surprising realization that becomes impossible to ignore after 60. Even high-income professionals are just a few missed paychecks away from financial stress if they haven't developed an ownership mindset alongside their careers. This vulnerability becomes increasingly dangerous when options for recovery narrow dramatically with age. The ownership revolution isn't about quitting your job tomorrow. It's about redirecting your energy and capital toward assets that last beyond your active working years. It's about asking a deceptively simple question: do you own anything that works for you when you're not working? This question gets to the heart of financial independence. Real estate that generates rent whether you show up or not. Dividend-paying stocks that send you checks regardless of your health or energy levels. Business stakes that continue producing income even if you're golfing, traveling, or simply relaxing with family. Now, I want to go even deeper into a historical viewpoint that deeply influences how we should think about wealth preservation after 60. Having lived through the Great Depression, Charlie Munger deeply understood a wisdom that most modern investors never fully grasp. Prosperity is not the normal state of economic life. This realization goes against the grain of modern financial thinking, which tends to view economic slowdowns as just temporary blips in an otherwise upward trend. Munger saw something different, a natural pendulum that swings between good times and bad times throughout history. This historical awareness creates a profound change in how we judge risk, which is particularly vital after 60, when your financial foundation faces its greatest vulnerability. When you truly accept that economic conditions fluctuate cyclically and sometimes severely, blind optimism becomes not just naive but potentially fatal to your financial health. The journey toward this historical perspective often involves a difficult recognition that our relatively short personal experience may not accurately represent longer economic cycles. Many of today's retirees have lived primarily through America's huge post-war expansion, possibly the greatest period of wealth creation in human history. This limited window creates a dangerous kind of recency bias that can lead to systematically underestimating economic risks. If you've started shifting from employee thinking to owner thinking in your approach to wealth, type ownership mindset in the comments. This fundamental change in perspective might be the most important financial transformation you'll ever make. Now, I want to go even deeper into what might be the most powerful yet underappreciated financial wisdom for those over 60. It's a revelation so contrary to our achievement-focused culture that many struggle to embrace it despite its extraordinary value. Successful investing isn't about being a know-it-all. It's about precisely the opposite. It's about recognizing what you don't understand and having the discipline to avoid those areas completely. These three simple words, "I don't know," so difficult for many successful people to say, become a superpower when applied to investment decisions after 60. The impact of this intellectual honesty is profound, creating a natural boundary around your financial decisions that keeps you safely within your circle of competence. By admitting the limits of your understanding, you naturally avoid betting on foolishness and stick to areas where you can make sound judgments. This approach goes against the prevailing culture that values confident statements over thoughtful uncertainty. The path toward embracing the power of "I don't know" often involves overcoming decades of conditioning that equates admitting ignorance with weakness. The breakthrough comes when you realize that in the world of investing, this supposed weakness becomes your greatest strength, especially after 60, when financial mistakes carry greater consequences. I've seen this transformation unfold countless times. There's a remarkable liberation that comes with abandoning the exhausting pretense of knowing everything. The weight is lifted when you no longer feel forced to have an opinion on everything, from cryptocurrencies to emerging tech, from interest rates to international politics. This creates mental space for deeper thinking in areas where you actually possess insight. If you've ever experienced the relief that comes from saying, "I don't know," instead of pretending to understand something complex, type intellectual honesty in the comments. This seemingly simple admission represents one of the most powerful protections against financial disasters after 60. This historical awareness leads us to perhaps Munger's most essential wisdom, which he described as the critical habits that protected his wealth more than any brilliant investment move. With his typical directness, he reduced his entire formula for success to three simple actions of avoiding debt, avoiding drama, and avoiding dumb people. The power in this framework lies in its focus on prevention rather than action, a revolutionary perspective that completely flips conventional financial thinking. Debt acts as a magnifier of mistakes, turning recoverable errors into financial catastrophes. After 60, when your time for recovery shrinks dramatically, leverage becomes exponentially more dangerous. A setback that might be manageable for an investment portfolio without debt can become a life-altering event when debt is involved. The revelation here is that financial security often depends less on what you own and more on what you don't owe.